the creative direction of even Vince McMahon putting Triple H as the COO on television as much as what Triple H is getting exposed on television. And I really doubt in Vince McMahon's creative direction, probably even more so than what I've doubted in the creative directions and minds of people like Triple H and Stephanie. I think we really need a new COO, a new director of operations, something to offer us a little bit of a reprieve for what we've been subjected to for the better part of the last year. 2015 has been ridiculous, especially if this was supposed to be a year revolving around people like Sting and Seth Rollins, and your two main focal points of 2015 are now on the injured reserve list. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I mean, who else is there left to pick up the ball and run with it after it's been dropped so many times in 2015? Dean Ambrose. Even if they did give Dean Ambrose an opportunity at the championship and to be champion now in the injury of Seth Rollins, it would only be to rebound off the injuries of Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. It wouldn't really be because Dean Ambrose deserves that opportunity in the minds of WWE creative. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been a huge Dean Ambrose fan. He puts me in mind of Brian Pillman so much. I've been putting over Dean Ambrose ever since 2015 came in, and I thought that Dean Ambrose deserved an opportunity long before now. Obviously, he's the sellout in the 16-man single elimination tournament this year at Survivor Series as opposed to Roman Reigns. It's either one of the two. A toss-up between one of the two Shield members in the fallout of Seth Rollins' injury, which was unexpected for WWE to have to rebound off of, but they obviously will now because of what Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns will do in the fallout of the 16-man single elimination tournament, the first 16-man single elimination tournament, by the way, in over 17 years. The last one was in 98, the Deadly Games tournament, which saw The Rock and Mankind go all the way to the finals, and The Rock selling out with the track record of Survivor Series not being that hot with screw jobs of Bret Hart and Mick Foley in 1998, 1997 through 98. You can pretty much expect the same thing to unfold this year at Survivor Series, but at least we're going to see someone different given an opportunity rather than Seth Rollins or Randy Orton, someone different who hasn't always been one of Triple H's favorites, and I doubt that even when they're given that opportunity, they will become a favorite of Triple H and Stephanie. The only thing that I can see resulting in Seth Rollins' injury is that feud we've been waiting on for a long time to develop between Seth Rollins and Triple H in a match that could probably happen at upcoming WrestleMania, probably at WrestleMania this year or shortly after WrestleMania when Rollins returns, as early as before WrestleMania or just before SummerSlam in 2016. He's out for a couple of months now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing something done with Rollins when he comes back, probably in the way of being a fan favorite. But again, injuries we have seen over the last couple of months, obviously you can point the finger of blame at Triple H as you can a lot of things that have happened in 2015. If you want to talk about someone who could replace someone like a Seth Rollins or a Randy Orton or even a John Cena right now, if ever given an opportunity, it would be Bo Dallas. If you follow Bo Dallas on Twitter, which is at Bo Dallas, by the way, you'll see a lot of photos of fans throwing up photos of themselves wearing the Bo Dallas t-shirts. Their pets have the dog tags, of course, with Bo Leave marked on them. He's obviously over with millions of followers on Twitter, and all they use Bo Dallas for is to come out and get in the face and try to motivate people like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, which has never worked. The only way to put over someone like Bo Dallas is to give him the Intercontinental Championship. I've had this conversation with a lot of people on blogtalkradio.com about putting Bo Dallas over. And the only way to do that is by giving him a singles championship, either the IC or US titles. If you don't want to give him the championship right away, you could at least start him off by giving him a US or IC title reign. That would be meaningful to Bo Dallas, and it would allow him to build up a fan base. Once you are confident enough in Bo Dallas, you could elevate him to superstardom by giving him an opportunity and actually have him come through by becoming WWE champion, even if it was for the period of maybe 3 or 4 months. Other people who are over in WWE right now would obviously be teams like the Lucha Dragons or the New Day in terms of tag team wrestling, and in terms of women's wrestling, Sasha Banks is really over with the chance of We Want Sasha in the WWE. So those are some suggestions of putting people over in light of these injuries, the better part of 3 or 4 injuries we have seen for less than 6 months. In less than a 6-month period, the amount of injuries we have seen because of the Authority overworking their favorites have been absolutely ridiculous, because the majority of the injuries we have seen in less than a 6-month period have been the favorites of the Authority, and it's really ridiculous. Do we blame Triple H? Do we blame Stephanie? Or do we blame a member of WWE Creative? Maybe we can point the finger of blame at everybody who's at fault here in WWE. Maybe Vince McMahon is the one who it all falls back on, because he was the one who started this and put all of this in motion of giving Triple H the responsibility of being COO. which I don't think he has a fucking clue of being able to do it. I don't think Triple H can run the WWE. And if I were Vince McMahon at 70 years old, I'd really want to take a step back and reevaluate how I'm running the business and choosing to run the business with some of the decisions creatively I've been making, because Vince McMahon has made more creative decisions than what he's been making at 70 years old throughout his entire wrestling career. Back when he was an announcer, he was making better decisions as a promoter and an owner of a wrestling organization when he was kayfabing the fact that he was owner, sitting behind a microphone, doing broadcasting for WWE in the territories. And in my opinion, Vince McMahon really needs to evaluate himself, because at 70 years old, does he really want to die and leave the company in the hands of someone like Triple H and Stephanie? If I were Vince McMahon, I really wouldn't want to do that, because, one thing that really gets on my nerves about Triple H and Stephanie is everything seems to revolve around them in the WWE. Am I right or am I wrong with having said that? It seems like everything falls back on Triple H and Stephanie. Sure, the people who they're playing favorite with are benefiting, but again, their favorites, Seth Rollins, Kane, Randy Orton, it's all revolving around Triple H and Stephanie and what they want and what they believe is best for business and what they're trying to throw in our faces and convince us is best for business. It's bad enough they've convinced Seth Rollins that he is the definite future of the WWE, but do you really think that Stephanie and Triple H believe that Seth Rollins is the future of the WWE? As long as somebody else better comes along eventually, whether it be 4, 5, 6 months, a year from now, as long as they believe in somebody being the future of the business, they're going to put them over, even if it isn't someone like Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins is kind of just biding time, in my opinion, and it's only a matter of time before he's knocked off that pedestal of greatness and someone else is the indefinite replacement of Seth Rollins, even if it is someone who's been a favorite of Stephanie and Triple H in the past, like Randy Orton or someone like Dean Ambrose who could turn coat on someone like Roman Reigns, expecting the fallout of the 2016 Survivor Series 16-man single elimination tournament. I'm really hating how everything seems to revolve around Triple H and Stephanie and how they believe they are what's best for business. They themselves are even convincing themselves that they are the best. And in my opinion, they really need to reevaluate some of the things creatively from a creative standpoint that they've been doing, which is why I believe the headline definitely speaks true words when I say it's time to fire Triple H, and how I've questioned Triple H being the COO of the WWE, pointing the finger of blame at him for everything that's gone wrong with this business, because there's nobody else really you could blame. You're not going to turn around and blame John Laurinaitis or Vince McMahon for doing what they're doing, because they believe that putting Triple H at the forefront of COO was the best thing to do. But I mean, you really need to start hiring new writers. Freddie Prinze Jr. can't get the job done. The writers on the team obviously don't have a sense of direction right now with whatever they're trying to write about in WWE, so start hiring new writers. Freddie Prinze Jr., as I just mentioned, can't get the job done. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon doesn't have a sense of direction as a creative writer. The best guy you had on the writing team all those years ago was Paul Heyman. He was a creative genius. He was an influential force behind everything that happened in professional wrestling from at least 04 to 06. So keep Paul Heyman there, but just start hiring new writers and have a better sense of direction heading in to 2016. I shudder to think what we're going to be in store for in 2016 by the time we determine who wins the 2016 Royal Rumble, who goes to headline WrestleMania 32. And that's really questionable too now, with Stephanie and Triple H running things and calling the shots, because with all these injuries and these wrestlers expected to be out for a number of months, possibly even John Cena, who could miss WrestleMania, and it wouldn't put me past WWE to have John Cena miss WrestleMania because he put in for time off. With all these injuries, who's going to headline WrestleMania? Who's going to win the Royal Rumble and headline the biggest event of the year? Who's going to headline SummerSlam, which is your second major event of 4 that you have every year, 4 hours now? There's a lot of questions heading into 2016, and again, it all falls back on Triple H and Stephanie, who are absolutely ridiculous, and that's why over the last year I've been posting more video blogs than what I've ever been given credit for on disgracing Triple H and pointing the finger of blame at him. And some of you may agree with what I've said about Triple H, others may choose not to, but you can't argue the fact that I'm actually right with everything I'm said about Triple H. I mean, they've turned Tough Enough and the Diva Search into absolute jokes, which at one point in time were shows that people look forward to on MTV and USA. They ruined those and made them network exclusives. I know that Tough Enough is still on USA, but it's not the Tough Enough I remember from 04 and 05 when people like Maven and The Miz were being given the benefit of the doubt, and you were contracting so many unbelievable talents because of Tough Enough. Now someone like ZZ or Amanda, you're telling me they're going to get over in comparison to someone like Maven or The Miz? It's going to be a long time before someone like ZZ ever amounts to the credibility of someone like The Miz, who I absolutely hate. And you all know how much I hate The Miz from what he was doing on Tough Enough, replacing Hulk Hogan as one of the trainers. But the thing is, The Miz actually got over and got an opportunity to be champion, regardless of how you feel about him. And it's going to be a long time before people like Andy from Tough Enough in 2011 and ZZ from Tough Enough in 2015 or Amanda, in terms of a female competitor, ever amounts to someone like The Miz or someone like AJ Lee. It's going to be a very long time before we see something happen there. Also, I really appreciate what people like Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan and Paige are trying to do with Tough Enough. The Miz replacing Hulk Hogan, never really a big fan of that. But again, it all falls back on Triple H and how we dealt with the Hulk Hogan dispute with WWE from earlier this year. And I really appreciate how Hogan now is apparently going for his legal rights, believing that he's right and entitled to some form of actual agreement with professional wrestling and being rebounded off of for everything that's happened to him here in 2015. Again, pointing the finger of blame at Triple H for everything that's gone wrong. Also, the deaths of people like Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper, you kind of got to question WWE for that. Is it the fault of WWE for having them do things they probably didn't want to do or be subjected to for so many years? It's been debated whether or not, the WWE was responsible for all of these deaths, not only in 2015, we've been hearing about, but through the years. We've seen the last 10 years, so many deaths. From the Ultimate Warrior to Macho Man Randy Savage, the list goes on and on and on. Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper from earlier this year. We've lost so many great legends, and again, pointing the finger at blame of people like Triple H, John Laurinaitis, Vince McMahon. Something needs to be done. What needs to be done, I really don't know, but I do know this. You really have to consider taking Triple H out of office and taking him off TV altogether as both a wrestler and an entertainer as the COO. In my opinion, it's absolutely ridiculous. Triple H doesn't know what he's doing from one minute to the next. And I said this, I alluded to this actually in a column for In This Corner with Jonathan Clark. Jonathan Clark believes how WWE should fire Triple H. The thing is, Triple H seems to be more and more afraid and feeling the pressure as it builds up as the COO of WWE. That's why he calls upon his friends, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac, so many people coming back at the side of Triple H, and it's almost like he's in doubt and doesn't have a sense of direction with WWE and doesn't know what he's doing from one minute to the next as COO, really feeling the pressure of being the COO of WWE, and who can blame him? There's a lot of pressure that goes with running a billion-dollar corporation that's been put on his shoulders, and he believes one day it's all going to be his. But if he continues to run WWE the way that he does, at the sides of Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn, because he doesn't have a sense of direction, if he continues to run it the way he has been, all this is not going to be his, and it's going to end up in the hands of somebody else. Probably Shane McMahon will return rebuying his stock with WWE, probably from the likes of Triple H. Someone's going to have WWE put in their hands that actually knows what they're going to be doing with the business for the next 20, 25 years, and it could not be Triple H if he continues to run the business the way that he is, putting himself over in WrestleMania main events. That's another thing that really irritates me. It's always Triple H in the main events